opening the season. The question is, where will that man be? They do not appear to be any closer to figuring things out with a contract from Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones says he believes he and Parsons came to an agreement on the framework of a deal in March. There have been no talks since. With the defending champs looming in Week 1, head coach Brian Schottenheimer yesterday talking about his team's preparation with and without their star pass rusher.
Does it make it harder to scheme a game plan, though, as a head coach without one of your top players?
No, because I think at the end of the day, we feel like Mike is going to be out there when we can line up against Philadelphia here in 15 days or whatever it is. And, so no, the answer is, yeah, I feel good about that, yeah.
With or without a contract extension?
I feel good that Mike is going to be out there against the Philadelphia Eagles.
He feels good. Me, not as good at this point. So again, we got Brooke, we got Neek, and D. Wood. I'll start with you. How do you feel about Micah being on the field 2 weeks from tonight?
I am not optimistic, Greeny. I am not optimistic at all. And you're talking about a guy, listen, I know that deadline spurred action, but we're 2 weeks away from the opening game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Last time I checked, they said this negotiation, this whole thing feels totally different than what we've seen from Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Trayvon Diggs, all these guys, all the other stars.
Back in the day,
all that stuff. Everybody's been saying that this thing has been different. I'm not a guy like, for football players, you have to go out there and play football. You have to get in football shape. Micah Parsons hasn't been practicing at all. And you expect him to go out there week 1 against the defending Super Bowl champs and the Philadelphia Eagles? Like, that wouldn't even be fair to Micah Parsons to put him out there without any practice time.
I think it's a fair thing for D-Wood to say. I like err more on the side of optimism because of the Cowboys' history. But then I'm reminded that if we're using Dak as an example, Dak was practicing the whole time he didn't have a contract.
Right.
Micah's not out there. In 2 weeks up into the game, assuming that he can get in, you would have to start practicing today, right, to get into proper shape and feel good about him going out there and not having a huge risk of injury. Like, that seems super risky.
Dak, I will remind you, also played a year on the franchise tag.
Yeah.
Very few quarterbacks in history have done that. The interesting thing about the Cowboys, Brooke, is that we can go through all of their contract negotiations year by year. It's like their greatest hits album at this point. Remember when they did that with Dak, and then they had Zeke. That was down in Cabo, and years ago it was Emmett. And now it's this one, and it feels different. How do you feel about it?
I feel like, first of all, that Cowboys writers should be getting hazard pay for all of these every single year. I do agree. It does feel different that it's continuing to be drawn out. But at this point, it does kind of feel like maybe they don't really want to pay him. I mean, maybe they don't want to do this long-term investment, because if they did, it would have been done. It feels like they are trying to force his hand into saying, okay, fine, I'll play this year. I'll do the franchise tag. Like, this is so contentious that I think that the Cowboys need to stop giving this conversation air with Jerry. But how do you take away Jerry's soapbox?
I think Shotty has an opportunity here because we all view him as a unique type of coach in a situation where Jerry Jones kind of feels like the coach, the GM, and the owner. And like what he said was what most coaches say, but I think he should be more aggressive because of where he is, because of the situation that he's in. If he's more outspoken and supportive of his players, there's always going to be a divide on the team. And you want to be on the players' side of that divide, not to be viewed as like a puppet of the management, which I think most coaches under Jerry Jones since Jimmy Johnson have been viewed as obviously not Parcells, but been viewed as some version of that.
So my question to you, as a once and who knows, perhaps future leader of the NFLPA, is if he were to call you up and be like, man, I'm going into my 5th year here, I'm playing for $21 million, the best guys in my position are getting 40 and up from there. I run the risk of injury. I'm not a quarterback. I get it. His contract might look like a quarterback's contract, but when Dak got hurt, that was one thing. This guy gets hurt, it's a whole other thing. Would you tell him to play?
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what job you have. I think it's pretty obvious that the situation that Micah's in, the risk reward is clear to me. I think the possibility of injury that devalues you, I think, is kind of rare. But if you have leverage at this moment, you believe that you have it, it's worth doing. Like I would always tell the player in any situation like this is that you have to understand what you're giving up. You can get anything you want, but you have to pay for it. And in this situation, he could get that big contract, but he's going to have to pay for it on the front end. It seems that Jerry's making him pay for it on the front end.
I think the question is, like, what's the leverage that Micah Parsons has at this point?
He's great.
Here's the leverage. D-Wood, you and I, 2 weeks from tonight, come on over again. We had great luck the first time you came over to watch a game in my house. Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles on the 4th play. But you come over and watch that game. And if Saquon Barkley is running up and down the field and Jalen Hurts is hitting those receivers and that Cowboy defense gives up 41 points and gets humiliated on national TV, is that leverage?
Yeah, listen, I think you're harking back to the Emmitt Smith holdout.
Yes.
Here's the difference, right? Weren't the Dallas Cowboys defending Super Bowl champions?
Yes.
They were the defending Super Bowl champion, and Emmitt Smith held out, and obviously they were 0-2, and then they went on ahead and signed Emmitt Smith. Do we view the Dallas Cowboys in the same manner?
Well, they view themselves, so I don't think it matters what we view them as.
I just think Jerry Jones, unlike any other negotiation, is dug in on this whole notion of we had a handshake deal. Right. And unless you capitulate, then it's just not going to happen.
I mean, it reminds me of the Chris Jones hold out situation a couple years ago. He sat out that first game. The Chiefs lost to the Lions. All of a sudden, wow, that deal got done, and then the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Like, in a perfect world, that is a way to win for both sides, but Jerry's much more stubborn. Let's
get to a team in that same division that is definitely thinking Super Bowl thoughts. Our next stop is Washington. Terry McLaurin continues his hold-in at Commanders camp with an outstanding trade request amidst their contract standoff. I want you to listen to their head coach, Dan Quinn, when asked if he expects to see his number one receiver back on the field.
I'm not going to play Where's Waldo, guys, all right, moving forward, so just so we're clear on that. So Terry's return to play format is no different than any of the other players. He's healthy, which is now a good step to, like, getting closer to being back on the field. So you'll see that earlier than later. I don't have a date circled on my whiteboard in my office.
So, Neek, what was the first thought you had when you heard that?
I mean, Dan Quinn's never played Where's Waldo, right? Like, it's clear that he doesn't, like, that's right. Is Terry hiding with a striped sweater on somewhere?
Right.
Like, got the heart, like, right. I still think JD is going to be awesome, but it's a lot different when you don't have the, like, singular weapon that can do the thing that he does best. Daniels is a deep ball thrower. Debo Samuel's the receiver they have, who is more of a, like, toolsy guy. He's not going to threaten the team deep. This offense is really impacted by whether McLaurin is out there or not.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is. I also just look at, like, you say you live in D.C. I'm not in D.C., but I'm still paying attention, and I see how good the vibes are around this team. Like, vibes matter, and the McLaurin thing could definitely impact the vibes. I think that everything else is so good that it does kind of overshadow how significant it could be.
Until you start playing and things don't work out. The vibes get real bad if you're not scoring touchdowns.
No, but that's such a good point that she's making, I think, because the departure of the previous owner in that regime where everybody hated, and now all of a sudden, it was like a love fest all of a sudden. All of us, I don't have a rooting interest in this. I was rooting for them. Everybody loves that story. How do you let it get derailed by something like this? He's so obviously their most important offensive player besides the quarterback. The quarterback's on the rookie deal. This is another one, maybe not as easy as the Micah one, but it feels like it should have been easy, and somehow they wind up playing Where's Waldo.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like a head scratcher to me because, like, you literally have, Jayden Daniels come in and flip this whole organization, on his head. Everything, like you said, the vibes are different. They don't, like, the Commanders don't have a Terry McLaurin type of receiver on their roster. He does something that's unique just for Jayden Daniels, and so now you don't have him available. Like, to me, it changes the whole complexity of their offense.
I think you want to win every deal that you're negotiating, and sometimes you're going to have to lose them. And I think from the way that the team looks at Terry McLaurin, it seems clear that Terry has production and he has expectations of being a top paid receiver. He's getting older. They don't want to be on the wrong side of this. They don't want to be paying a guy who's 31 and at top of the league money who's not doing that production. But this, to me, feels like one of the deals you're going to have to lose. Like, you have a quarterback who's playing MVP level football on a rookie deal. Somebody's going to get overpaid, and I don't think it will be an overpay for McLaurin, but from their perspective, they think it is. So what? Pay this man his money.
You have 2 more years of Jayden Daniels on this rookie contract. That's one window. You're going to get, if this kid's as good as we think he's going to be, you're going to get multiple windows. This first window, Terry McLaurin is integral.
Yes.
I mean, 2 years is a perfect point because if you could front load Terry's contract 2 years, get out of it after 3, pay him what he deserves, that's essentially Daniels' money that he's going to take when he becomes eligible.
Yeah, stop playing Where's Waldo, play Monopoly. Buy Park Place, let's get this thing going.